or heat some solder up on the tip. Perfect demonstration. We'll have it installed for the last time. What's up, GT gang? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Mojo GT and we are working on the Procharged 426 Hemi once again, and we're going to be working on some wiring. So I have my trans temp gauge and my boost gauge ran into my engine compartment, or from my engine compartment to the cabin, of course. So all we need to do is hook up red and black, solder them on both of them, run them to the newly installed power distribution block, and just go from there. It'd be pretty simple. Just go through everything I do, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video. All right guys, it's super late, but I'm really glad that I bought this Milwaukee light. So we have the trans temp gauge done. All we're using is a hot and ground. They don't need to connect to CAN bus, and then our boost gauge is also hot to ground. Simple, very easy. We're gonna run it from here to the distribution block, and then I think I'm gonna wait until daylight to explain to you how the dual wideband sensor works, because it's pretty confusing to say the least. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of run it softly, and then we can try to explain it, which would probably be another day, but for you it's a couple seconds. Let's get it. This is kind of where we're at, guys. We have the LC2 for the dual wideband setup, ran through, installed through here, and ran all the way up to the A pillar. The boost gauge and trans temp gauge connectors are ran all the way up to the A pillar, and we have gauges installed into the gauge pod A pillar. So this is kind of where we're at now. Is what we had to do. One of these is trans temp, one of these is boost. For both of the gauges, all we need to run from the power distribution block to the A pillar is power and ground. That's it. So everything works inside the gauge when you just hook up power and ground. It's pretty simple. What I did was strip back the extra wires. I stripped them back a little bit so that there was no exposed copper. Put some heat shrink over it, sealed it up, and then I put some heat shrink over top of all of the wires, and it makes it look super nice and professional. It's kind of what we do at work. And same thing with the boost. Both of them are the same. Power and ground, we're going to hook those up later. Now I'm going to go ahead and figure out which wires on the digital O2 sensor gauge, dual wideband O2 sensor gauge, I have to run. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to run the black and the red for sure for ground. I'll figure out what the white and the yellow has to go to. So yesterday I just went up and picked up this Milwaukee soldering iron from Home Depot, and it works great. It worked really good for me yesterday, and now it's going to work well for me today. Anyway, this is kind of my setup that I like to run with soldering. So I have this, I bought this kit from Weller. It came with a tip tinner, rosin flux paste, and it also came with a brass tip cleaner, which I can't seem to find right now, but I'll find it right here. So once you're done soldering, you just rub it in here a few times, tap it in, no big deal. The process that I use for soldering, every single time that I'm going to solder, you always tin the tip. So I'll take this out, put it in the tip tinner, dab it in through the brass cleaner a few times, and then I'll actually prep each end of the wire. So this end of the wire and the wire that you're going to be soldering on as well, I'll dip it in the flux right here. And what I'll actually do, and I'll show you what I'm doing, but I'll put them together and then twist them. It makes it a lot easier to solder, especially if you only have one hand. So I have a solid green light, means I'm ready to go. I'm going to tin the soldering iron a couple times, tab it through here, and this is extremely hot, guys, but it's all ready to go. You can see the tip is really clean and shiny. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in here now that we're ready, and prep the wires. Here's my flux. All I got to do is dip it in the flux a couple times, both ends of the wire. I get the best results from this. And then I'll kind of spread the strands out a little bit, kind of like that, on both of them. And then what we're going to do is push these together. And when they're intertwined, you twist them. Of course, the time I wanted to do it didn't work. And apparently I got stage fright and I couldn't do it on camera. But anyway, that's what it's going to look like. You want to make sure you're not gobbing with flux. Kind of wipe a little bit off. Basically what that does is that promotes a healthy and uniform solder joint. So now that my soldering iron is ready, I'm gonna grab some solder. And this stuff, as long as you guys are using rosin core, is the best. I don't like to use lead free. I know that's kind of really hard to not find leaded solder nowadays, but make sure it's for electronics. You don't want to use plumbing solder. And I tend to go with a 60/40. I ordered this online and it's pretty simple. It's pretty soft. Pull it apart just like that. And now we're gonna go ahead and solder. So I like to heat up the tip, or heat some solder up on the tip, and get that connection nice and hot. And you're gonna want to dab solder on the tip while you're touching it. Look at that, just like that. Perfect demonstration. Also, the flux makes the solder run to wherever the flux is, so that helps a lot in keeping the heat down. So as soon as it's got heat, that solder wants to go where that flux is. So as you can see, nice and shiny. You don't have any exposed copper. That's what you want. And you don't need to glob it on. I did put a little bit too much right here, but it's going to be really strong and it's going to last forever. So now get the heat shrink ready. And I didn't put that on first because I have an open-ended wire, and I'll slide it on, heat shrink with a heat gun, and it'll be good to go to the black and white wires. It's gonna be the same thing. Okay, so let's talk heat shrink. I have my heat shrink in place. I haven't heat shrunk it yet. This is the stuff I like to use. It's actually a really quality kit. There are some iffy things about Harbor Freight, but I can tell you their marine heat shrink tubing assortment is thebomb.com. It's your typical heat shrink, except it actually has glue on the inside to make a watertight seal. So I'll show you and demonstrate that right now. If you can see that, there is glue oozing from either side. That's what it does. I'm gonna go ahead and do the black and the white. I'm gonna run these together, so it'll be a 3-connection solder joint. Same thing, guys. I'm not gonna record this one just to make it a little bit easier on me, because this is gonna be a little bit added stress since it's an extra wire. So here's what this one looks like. Very, very similar. Basically the exact same thing, guys. I just twisted these, put them really close together, and actually, instead of making them parallel, or at least the fans, when I spread them out, I went kind of like this. So I had the 2 wires like this, and then the single wire went through here, and then I twisted them, and then that made it super easy to solder it. So I'm not held back by the tuner and waiting on him. What I'm actually going to do is just extend this yellow wire. I don't ever use yellow wire for anything, and I have plenty of it. So I'm going to extend this to where if I do need to use it, I have it, and I don't have to take my A-pillar out and fix anything or add a wire. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll actually be able to button the triple pod A-pillar gauge. Triple pod gauge A-pillar thing, my bobber. I'll be able to put that in. And here's what it looks like, guys. All done. I'm pretty pleased with this. So I'm going to go ahead and slide some heat shrink that covers the end of the cable where it's cut, so it looks a lot nicer and it's safer and not putting extra tension on these wires. And I'm going to cover the heat shrink, so it'll be pretty long. And ta-da! Unfortunately, the strips that they give you from Harbor Freight in this kit aren't long enough to go from here all the way to here, so I had to put a small piece over the solder connections and then put a longer piece from the start of the sheathing to the middle, or at least the start of the smaller piece that I put on. So I'm pretty pleased with it, guys. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the stock A-pillar. I have to drill a few holes and then figure out how I'm going to run the wiring through. I think I might have to cut into the stock A-pillar. The only reason we're using the stock A-pillar is because this doesn't have any mounts to the center or the bottom or wherever the mounts are. So I have to drill about 6 holes, you know, 2 in the center, 2 on the ends. Pretty simple, guys. I'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to do it, and then we'll officially be ready to install. So here's what we have. We have the A-pillar ready to go. Now we need to modify the factory one so we can fit the wires through the factory one. Here is said factory one. What I'm going to do is cut probably a hole in this area and a big hole in this area. That way we keep this support and we can keep this mount. So it's going to fit great, and the wires are going to be able to go through. You won't even be able to tell. All right, I have this modified to fit. As you can see, cut 2 large squares out just like I said. Now we just need to drill 4 or 6. It comes with 6 holes, 3/16 holes. Push it together, and then we're able to throw this bad boy in. And just like that, we are mounted. It's actually really easy. It goes together really, really nice. I'm satisfied. Auto meter killed this one. So I want to show you guys a little bit of something I did. I did drill the holes, obviously, installed them, but as you can see, I actually added depth to these holes. So I did that just in case I had to get behind here and remove a connector or install a connector, so I actually have space to do that. So I couldn't separate these after I pushed these on. I certainly don't want to destroy these clips. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these zip ties, run this through, install it, and I guess we'll have it installed for the last time. All right, guys, I wanted to go a little bit more in depth of the wiring, but the way the soldering turned out actually covered it a lot better than what I thought I did. I did shoot these a couple months ago, so bear with me. Anyway, the gauges are all the way installed in the A-pillar, ready to put in. In the next video, we're going to be started on the power distribution block and even get the 6-gauge power cable and 6-gauge ground cable installed with the main disconnect switch that I'll put in right at the kick panel. So stay tuned for that. We'll go ahead and end that video here. Thank you so much for watching the video. See you next time. Peace.